Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It's our weekend program, Saturday Sports Special. It's where we speak to the movers and shakers of sports, the sportsmen, sportswomen, sports administrators, coaches, just about everyone involved in sports. Well, as indicated, our guest this weekend is the founder and CEO of Team Jamaica Bickle, as lots of folks have been hearing, especially around, you know, Penn Relays, in particular, you hear a lot about Team Jamaica Bickle. And I'm certain that folks outside of Jamaica in particular, because there are folks in Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Guyana, Bahamas, other places that fully aware of Team Jamaica Bickle and the work they have been doing over the years. So much they have done in terms of providing meals and refreshments, medical services, transportation, that's ground transportation as well as, um, shuttle from airport to hotel to the stadium. I mean, so many things that this organization has been doing over the years. And I say over the years, we'll be hearing quite a bit. And I'll be going into some of my archives. I'll probably surprise our guests and go into my archives and bring up some of those things. But let me welcome our special guest, Mr. Irwine Clare Sr. And by the way, Mr. Clare, who is Jamaican, but is slowly a Caribbean guy, because I've been trying to lock down Mr. Clare for a while. Then I noticed that he was in photo with Mia Motley in Barbados. And then he's speaking to us from, I think it was Orlando, Florida, is it? Right. So let me welcome Mr. Clare. It's a pleasure having you, Mr. Clare.
Thank you very much, Michael. And my notoriety blew up because thanks to Mia Motley.
yes. So
yes, if I wasn't before, I think I'm now sanctified. I'm a true Caribbean man, which is something, Michael, throughout not just sports but in my life. Because as you know, my bread and butter has to do with immigration. That has been my forte, working within the Caribbean community, the Caribbean diaspora, empowering our Caribbean nationals to be in that position, that space where they can impact change. So I'm grateful to be on your program, sir.
Right, and I appreciate that because going into the records and doing the little research, realizing that the whole issue of Caribbean immigration has been, as you indicated, first love to an extent since you arrived in North America, and then some of you still have this passion for track and field, and one wonders.
Even though I've never run any real race, except run dogs or run from.
Yes, but so one wonders at times how you have been able to manage, the demand, I would say, especially of Caribbean immigration services, and then still that passion for track and field. But first of all, just give us a little insight into who is Irwine Clare for our viewers.
Well, I like to say this, Mike, and for the benefit of viewers, and welcome and thanks for having me, is that I'm a little boy from Shelley Road, Bambo, in the great parish of Senton, and let's not kid ourselves, it's a parish of Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley, and from humble beginnings, my mother was one of those community activists who were involved in trailblazing endeavors in our society, things that has impacting things. She was a basic school teacher, built the first basic school within our district, the first library. She was the first librarian, built the first library there. And at the same time, I remember back in the day, Michael, when telephones were coming to our district, she was instrumental in that. And a political activist of sort, And so I live by the mantra that she bestowed on me. And that is, if I'm in a position to help someone, then I have an obligation. And though I did not grow up with her because she would have migrated, I grew up with my grandparents. And, so at an early age, independence was thrusted on me. Making decisions even on things that I shouldn't be making decisions on. I look back now and said, wow, if I shoulda, coulda, woulda. But the point here is that I'm proud of my humble beginnings. It has been the center of my life, and it has really brought a sense of understanding and discipline in the way we approach things and the respect for people.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you said that, because I was reading that you always talk about the three M's: Marcus, Manley, and me. Yeah. So where you,
Yes.
which is Saint Anne, right? Saint Anne.
Indeed,
And
indeed,
you're right.
indeed. And I think in time to come, that may be the title of my book.
Yes, the three M's. Yeah.
Yes.
But a big part of your forte has been the assistance of and when we say Caribbean athletes, we're not just talking about Jamaicans, because I can attest for even Grenadian athletes, okay?
Yes.
And I'm certain we have seen those from St. Vincent the Grenadines, from the Bahamas, recently from Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and as
And
one will say,
Belize.
Belize.
Yes,
And
yes.
even as one of the, I remember in 2019, one of the functions you had in Manhattan at the consulate, the Jamaican consulate, one of those speakers was saying, if the Haitians show up, they will get assistance.
You better believe it.
Whoever
Yes, sir.
shows up
Yes,
under
sir.
that tent will get
Yes, sir.
assistance. So
Yes, sir.
let's talk a bit about Team Jamaica Bickle. As a founder and CEO of Team Jamaica Bickle, why Team Jamaica Bickle? Why you saw it necessary for that?
Sure. And first of all, Mike, it's important that I give lots of credit. I've been privileged to work with a fantastic core group of individuals who have sacrificed and have bought into my concept, and it's truly a labor of love. Back in the day, and quickly, I was at one point in my life president of the Jamaica Progressive League, one of the oldest organizations here in the United States, and they had occasions to a chapter in Philadelphia to host athletes, and we would put on this big food extravaganza the Saturday night after Penn. That was when, Mike, as you know, athletes are tired, maybe disappointed, you're not accomplishing what they want, and they drearily come in. I remember Ben Francis, a revered name at Penn Relays, as through Veer Technical, said to me that whereas this is good, this food could better be served during the relays. Because I remember the phrase he termed, "This is like a feast for almost dying people," and it was a laugh at the time, but it was something that struck me. And working with my cohorts from Jamaica College, I'm not a past student of Jamaica College, but I have lots of friends from Jamaica College, and we were at the Penn Relays doing some stuff at the time, and so the idea hit me. And leaving corporate America just about then too, I launched into a whole situation. So how can we get this kind of food for athletes during the events? And make a long story short, I reached out to businessman Vincent Hosang, who was to become my partner in providing these meals. Because I'm an idealist, Michael. I have all these ideas, but I have no money in my pocket to fund them, so I have to go out and beg. So I don't mind. I don't mind begging, and so I went out. I pled my case to him. He bought on it, and 29 years later, we're still at it. And every year, I must tell you, we started out humbly with a 8-foot GE trailer outside the Penn Relays because they wouldn't allow us inside, But the whole idea here was to get some Bickle to our athletes so that we could help to at least pull that expense, one, but provide that kind of nutriment to our athletes, because as you know, nutrition is critical in any performance, in any whatever we do, and especially in sports. And that's the whole concept there. And at the same time too, I always believe in this, and that is leveling the playing field, making sure that the basics are taken care of so that our athletes can go out and perform at their optimum. And that's what it's all about, preparing a platform for athletes to be all they can be. And it's many times not about whether you win on the track or in the field, but that you give yourself an opportunity to expose your talents, and so doing, hey, you may get into a situation where it's in the best interest for you and your family.
Mhm. Well, I'm glad you said that because one such person who probably benefited from such is our good friend Hazel. Well, it's Hazel and Regis. She's Buckles now, and as she
Yes.
says, I couldn't wait after Penn Relays to go get some food because it was. You know, for and not just for the athletes and the officials, you know, the coaches and whatever. You know, it was somewhere where
A
it was a
gathering
Caribbean.
place.
Yeah, it was like a
Yes.
Caribbean lime, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
a Caribbean
The
lime.
music, the food, the
Everything.
lime. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was like, as we say, the Caribbean lime. And I think through even Team Jamaica Bickle, on a serious note, um, you were able to get the um, the Jamaican flag to be flown at the Penn Relays.
Yes.
And it was the first foreign flag to be flown at the
Yes. Yes.
Penn Relays.
Let me tell you. Um, and his name always eludes me in times like this. The founder of the Gibson Relays. I remembered the Saturday morning when he and I stood up and we looked up at the stadium. Tears came to both our eyes. It was the
That's
smallest flag.
was it McCook?
Yes, Teddy. Thank
Teddy
you, man.
McCook.
Teddy
Yeah.
McCook. That came about to, as a result of negotiations, leveraging, because anything that we would have accomplished at the University of Pennsylvania would have come about because we stuck to what we believed in. We work with what we have, and yes, we have not arrived and gotten all the things that we believe are due to us, but nothing, no one's going to give you anything. And that was a negotiated scenario based on a condition that existed at that time. And a question was posed to me by Dave Johnson. He says, I know he was in a situation, he was thankful for something we had done for them, because that year there were some serious gas strikes in Jamaica. There was uncertainties as to whether the teams would come. I know Penn Relays goes into a frantic. And Portia Simpson Miller was instrumental at the time, I remembered, in getting things happen. And the athletes came. And I said to him, there's one thing you do for me. I want to see my flag up there. I said, sure, you have one? I said, yes, I have a flag. And it was the smallest flag that went up there. That Saturday morning, Michael, was for me as a Jamaican Caribbean person in the diaspora, was a very significant moment, because what it meant was that it was the first foreign flag to be on the oldest stadium in the United States, a place where the most Caribbean people live outside of Jamaica, outside of the Caribbean, I should say. And it was also the second longest running event, athletic event in the world. That was significant. I also said to them at the time that we want other of our nations who are participating here to have the same. And if you notice, Michael, that ever since all our nations from the Caribbean that participate at the Penn Relays now have their flags up there. And that is testimony to the whole idea of, yes, it's Team Jamaica Bickle, the tent, but Team Jamaica Bickle as the brand embracing our responsibility. The fact that we find ourselves at the pinnacle in the athletic world, to embrace our brothers and sisters, encourage them to participate so that they too can make the mark on behalf of their respective nations.
Yeah, that's significant, and I think it was a watershed moment back then. And certainly, even though, as you said, it's Team Jamaica Bickle, it's actually a representation of the Caribbean.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
um,
yes.
right. And having someone to support your idea is great. Thank you, Team Jamaica Bickle. We appreciate you. And Hazel says, cannot forget Mr. McCook always went above and beyond for
Indeed.
athletes.
Yes.
May soul rest in peace. Just a moment, just take a moment there. Let's say hear something there.
Because she's a very, very special guest. We're indeed honored and privileged to have you. And I also want to have a disclaimer. I don't know what blame us up. I really don't. But the fact of the matter is that his organization contributes $10,000 last year, and based on his verbosity just now, it's $20,000 we expect to see. I love that. But before I start, I would like to acknowledge and thank God for the opportunity and the privilege to have done what we have done over the last 25 years. And to thank God for allowing me to work with a fantastic core group of volunteers
I must acknowledge before I even start, because they allow me to do some things and get away with some things that normal people don't. So at this moment, all Team Jamaica Bickle affiliates and friends, please stand and be recognized. And I am going to call out names if you don't stand up. So Michelle Neal, we see Horace over there. Yes. I'm going to save that couple for last. Blaine is better, and all the others, OJ, there's a gentleman in the room, Oswald Hansel, where apart from Blaine, he cleans up for me. I say certain things sometimes, and I make sure that OJ is standing beside me. And when you see OJ, you know why. And with that, I want to start off with thank you very much. Give them a round of applause, please. With that, I want to start off with a story.
Yeah. Right. We'll get back to some more of that, but quite interesting enough is that, and that was 2019, I think. What I was coming at is that you have a subtle way of begging, So you said last year we got 10,000. This year, basically you're saying we want 20 or 25, and things like that. So, but it all shows the partnership. Okay, and as you said in the start, it's not just Team Jamaica Bickle alone, but the partners involved in Team Jamaica Bickle. So, Owen, I don't want to say easy or difficult, but the challenges in maintaining an organization as Team Jamaica Bickle for all these years.
I don't look at it anymore as easy or hard or even challenge. I think we are conditioned into a situation where we just have to. We recently rebranded some of our activities, and we now look at it as a labor of love, and because it is a labor of love, there's no sacrifice, there's no challenge. You just have to do, Mike. Because you see, if you ask me about times, what did this athlete do, or even certain athletes' names, I probably don't know. It's no disrespect, because for me in this whole participation, I can probably count the amount of races I watch at the stadium or the things that we do. But it's about finding every conceivable opportunity to ensure that our young people have a chance. Because you see, you must remember, track and field is probably one of the cheapest of sports, or most economical of sports, for an individual to get into. And when we look at the landscape and we look at Jamaica's track and field, and I can't speak of the other Caribbean islands intimately like that, you find that probably 70% of our athletes comes from what I call south of Crossroads. And I mean economically challenged areas, where the ability to do things are not as readily available. They're the ones who use this avenue, Michael, to get themselves forward, and getting themselves forward many times. They're the first in the family to go to high school, first in the family to be traveling. And now they position themselves. They may not have the academic skill sets, but it initiates them probably into a community college. And from there, the sky's the limit. They all will not win an Olympic medal, but look, the opportunity. So it's about, allowing the process for someone to emancipate themselves. And that's what it's all about, so it's no longer for me a challenge. It's no longer a sacrifice. It's a way of life, a labor of love. And I think I have a team that have bought into that. I'm a taskmaster, respectfully speaking, but my team understands that. And I think the brand is very important. The integrity of the brand and the integrity of the individuals are premier to our existence and our represent, because we're representing not only ourselves but our nations, Michael. That's important, and so we don't take it lightly.
Mm-hmm. And I should also add that only recently, I think it was at the Penn Relays, you were awarded and you were recognized for your many years of services to not just Team Jamaica Bickle, but to Jamaica and the Caribbean. It was, I think, was a citation from the Jamaica consulate.
Oh
What,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah. That was 3 weeks ago, and we have some good supporters, and I have to give kudos to our consul general, somebody I've known for several years, and she's no newbie to the crowd either, because she understand and was there with us many years ago. She used to be one of those persons who I'd call up any time of night and beg money or beg. I said, listen, we need something here, because at the end of the day, it takes cash to care, and people come and intestinal fortitude, a whole lot of argument, but I'm not into the argument business. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. We move on. And she has been one of our good supporters and a good friend of the organization, and we appreciate. I appreciate that honor on behalf of my the persons I work with. So that was great. That was a great moment, and it was in the Palestra too. Because it was the first year Team Jamaica Bickle was in the Palestra, so it was in a very warm setting, Michael. Because if Penn Relays last year was 3 days of rain and average 45 degrees temperature.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good.
Mm-hmm. What would you say would be, or what you vision, the future of Team Jamaica Bickle? Because certainly there comes a point in time when you will want to pass on the baton.
Oh yes,
But you must have a vision as to what you would like to see it, with all the challenges involved, and the so many things happening. There's and as you said, you're a man of ideas, So I'm certain there are ideas that are swirling around his head, and you have a vision for Team Jamaica Bickle.
Without a doubt. Next year will be our 30th, and more than likely that's it. We have a good succession leadership mechanism in place. We have some very interesting persons who have come up through the ranks, because many people will see the finished product, Michael, and the finished product, knock on wood, looks good. But boss man, there's a lot of things happening in the kitchen. And by the way, we do have a kitchen and it's hot and cold, and I hope a lifting and that aspect of it. We are ready in the organization, put it in a situation where it becomes more, I wouldn't say plug and play, but more accommodating for the new style of volunteers. You see, I belong to a whole set of foggies who don't mind mopping the floor and carrying the water up on my head and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that's something that's attractive to many people. And we need to ensure that we have the wherewithal and the accommodation to attract a large cross-section. The lifting will have to be spread further out. Can't necessarily be concentrated in a core, because it's difficult. It can be challenging, and it's not every. In other words, I can't transfer my convictions or my passion, But at the same time, people would like to participate. So we're ready in the organization for that. I think we're just about there. As I said, we have a good core. The succession leadership is in place. I see Team Jamaica Bickle with the ideas of young people coming in. Continue to be efficient. As long as athletes look at these platforms as an opportunity for themselves, and again, too, Team Jamaica Bickle goes beyond just the Penn Relays. That is maybe your focus, your major focus. But it's about the athletes' welfare, because athletic sports, and it's not just athletics here, but sports in general, is a major platform for Caribbean nationals. And so we have to find ways how we leverage that in the diaspora, where, again, I say more of our national live than in the Caribbean collectively, and we have an enthusiasm towards what our children do. And let's not forget, our children born here, Michael, also have the opportunity to represent home. See, it's a win at all angles here. And so, it's providing those opportunities. We have the largesse here, the skill sets, and we should utilize them for the betterment of our communities across borders. In other words, no borders. but making sure it's a family involvement, and we involve as many as possible.
Mm-hmm. So the whole issue of, as we spoke about, the whole issue of the diaspora initiative and the importance of the diaspora initiative, as a nice segue that you spoke about there. How you think other islands, other like initiative, as Hazel said, what advice would you give to other Caribbean islands who probably like to develop such an initiative?
And this is where I think when new leadership in Team Jamaica Bickle takes on there, they'll provide me an avenue to in an ambassador role. I would like to visit the Grenadas, the Antiguas, and the countries that shows an interest in, maybe want to do some stuff as to how we, their participation level. We've helped, schools in Guyana before. We want to see some more work in St. Vincent and elsewhere, to see how best we can leverage what we have here to try and influence. Because see, Michael, it starts with community-based organizations, and whereas Jamaica has a strong following, and I call it alumni of individuals who are used to what is called champs in Jamaica, want to see the rivalry and their teams participate. It may not necessarily be at that level for Caribbean islands, but they too have an interest. And I think that it is not good to keep goodness to oneself. Goodness becomes more impactful when it is shared. It's not a competition in goodness. Goodness is for everybody. And I think that one of the things we'd like to do is to, look at, those associations and those entities. And again, here, I'm not delving into the professional side of things. I don't work with professional sports persons quite well. I help young people. They can decide what they want to do. So yes, I want to work. I avail myself to help any countries and community-based organizations that would want to help a respective school or encourage a respective sports organizations in the respective islands to do such, because there are opportunities. Because the other thing too is that many Caribbean nationals are in critical positions across the diaspora, Michael. And I think sometimes they just need to be reminded that they can do a couple of things and write a check. And I gave a case in point, and I present this on your platform in the spirit of One Caribbean. We recently reached out, had dialogue, was successful, and we now have a strategic relationship with the Jalen Bronson Foundation, second round. And that foundation now has contributed significantly to our AED program, where we're equipping as many schools as possible with a defibrillator machine. We want to see the same thing for our Caribbean islands as well. And there are other individuals, Caribbean nationals, who are strategically placed, who can, in the stroke of a moment, Mike, and you know it too, with the right whispering in the ear and connection, can write that check and make things happen. We want to be in positions to do that, not just for Jamaica, but for the Caribbean.
Well, I'm really glad you mentioned that too, because I recall how Team Jamaica Bickle came to the aid of a former Jamaican athlete who was participating, trying to remember his name, and at the Indo Championship, Indo Championship.
It was at the Armory?
At the Armory.
Yes.
And shortly after
Campbell, yes.
Campbell, and then shortly after you started this campaign to equip schools in Jamaica with the AED, how important it is, even though it's expensive.
Yes,
you were able to get quite a few and made presentations to schools.
And in fact, we started way back in 2014, because we got wind of it, because back in that time, I think there was a youngster from Kavon McKenzie from St. Diego participating at a cross-country meet in Tobago, collapsed and died.
Right.
And we started it with St. Diego, and then it was jump started again with another gentleman in Jamaica collapsing and dying on the field of soccer in Jamaica. But to date, we have given nearly 100 AED machines. This year, we hope to donate some 30. And like I said, come year 30, we want to head into the Caribbean islands. But we need the support of the respective nationals, because you see, one of the things you don't want to do is that you want to make sure you form alliances, partnerships. You don't want to be the John Wayne riding on a horse thinking that you're the panacea and have the answers for everything. No, there must be skin in the game. When people have that type of what I call alliance and relationship, you find that things work better, and I think it's more even sustainable.
We're talking about alliances and talking about working together. This is one such that we want to talk about, which is your activity coming up on next weekend. Okay,
yes.
Tell us a little more about the
Well, we started this initiative, because as you know, fundraising is it takes cash to care, Mike. If you don't have the cash, your base not gonna work here. That your base is flushed. It takes cash to care. It starts with a lot of fun. We have to do fundraising, and fundraising is not just your regular dinner dance. You have to be creative, because it's a very competitive environment. And just as our athletes prepare to be competitive, we too have to prepare and be competitive. So we started this endeavor several years ago called the Bickle Breakfast. Well, it was on a hiatus for the past 3 years. It's now back. And so next Saturday, St. Luke's Episcopal Church in the Bronx, the Bickle Breakfast is back. And again, here is working with an alliance of restaurants in our community. We have to form alliances. And I have to say kudos to many restaurants who are participating in this, give us off the foods and stuff. And we put together a sumptuous presentation. And who knows, I might even cook something, Mike. I'm a chef myself, but and it's a celebration of sorts. Bickle for us is food, so it was just right that we do something like this. It's also a time for social interactivity, and we work very closely with Father Duver, Haitian, at the St. Luke's Episcopal Church, who has been a great supporter of ours over the years, recognize the importance of this. And funds from this goes towards the AED program, because, like again, I said, we're targeting to present some 30 AED to schools in Jamaica. And again, that doesn't mean that we may not delve into the Caribbean. Again, it comes back up to partnership, and we're willing to work with them. And that is that's a priority on our list. So our Bickle Breakfast takes place next Saturday at St. Luke's Episcopal Church. We're asking folks to come out at 9 p.m. St. Luke's is located at 777 East 222nd Street in the Bronx. It starts at 9 o'clock. I think our breakfast is like $40. There'll be lots of prizes and surprises. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, tickets will be available at the door, or you can even zell us at tjb1994lol@gmail.com. That's tjb1994lol@gmail.com. And visit our website, teamjamaicabickle.org. But again, it's a fundraiser. It's usually a great time. It's at the church, so you're gonna get some real sumptuous, blessed food for sure.
Yeah. So folks, it's next Saturday, 9 a.m. to noon, to high noon. It's at St. Luke's Episcopal Church, 777 East 222nd Street. That's in the Bronx. Okay.
Yes, it's right. Mike, and I don't know how much time you have, but there's something I want to touch on, and I never shy away from it. I know it's a topical issue, and I want to go back to Penn Relays for just a few moments. One of the challenges and it's a fair conversation, and the question's been asked, why come to the Penn Relays? What has Penn done for Jamaica or the athletes or whatever? Which is a fair question, and I just, one of the things at Team Jamaica Bickle, we do not solicit or encourage anyone to come to the Penn Relays. The schools decide to come to the Penn Relays. That's their prerogative. There are thousands, 40,000 many times of Caribbean nationals in the stadium to watch their athletes. So obviously there are people who are looking forward to them. They are the stakeholders. the schools who decide to come, that's their prerogative to come to Penn Relays. It is very challenging, very expensive. And sometimes even I myself have said, boy, this is a serious, a challenge that schools and parents go through to get their kids here. But if you should stop and ask the kid who comes to the Penn Relays, why do they come? As I did this year to a youngster. She was like 15. She was not participating. The school brought her here for exposure. And she said to me, sir, I'm here, although I'm not running, I'm here to learn and to see what it is so that when I come to compete, I know what to do. And I said, why is that important to you? She said, sir, because it's an opportunity I've been looking forward to ever since me know me can run. No. For anything else, and we can bring all the rationalization and all the economics and all of that, those things are superficial. When you hear a youngster speak like that, it fortifies Irwine Clare and his team, Jamaica Bickle, that when and if that young athlete comes, we must be in a position to step up to the plate and provide us, that young miss, with all that is necessary. So she don't have to worry about certain basic things. Just go out there and manifest her dreams. That's one. On the other side, on the tangible side, no, money speaks and all that. Well, Penn Relays, to expect Penn Relays to give monies to schools from Jamaica and the Caribbean, that's not going to happen. Because as you know, it's a precedent, Mike. And every school in the United States will be demanding that. So it would not going to work. So let's not kid ourselves. And to use the argument that Jamaican is what make Penn Relays work. Okay, you can say that too. But the Penn Relays too, University of Penn Relays have an endowment that's probably more than the budget of Jamaica and the Caribbean combined. So and that is not to cast aside the importance of our nationals going there. But again, they too go there out of choice. So those who criticize too must also look at, does the University of Pennsylvania give scholarship? No, they don't. They give academic scholarships. Our athletes many times cannot meet those standards. That is a reflection of possibly our education. I don't know. But then should a kid who doesn't have the academic standards not be given the opportunity to showcase their talent? Really now? I can show you, Mike, and we have this in our midst where kids who could not get a 4-year scholarship, they got a 2-year scholarship. Go to the school and break all the records there, and now they find themselves in one of the top schools in the United States, doing well, improving their academics. So should we block that off from the individual? Okay, you be the judge of that. Then on the economic side, if you recall, Michael, you go to the Penn Relays, the biggest sponsor and image and brand in the place is Grace Kennedy, a Caribbean company. What does that mean? What does that mean? So again, when we talk, and we have heard many journalists and others say we shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, many of whom have never been to the Penn Relays to begin with, or even don't understand. But the point here is that this is an opportunity, a platform to showcase one's talent. That's what it is.
Yeah, certainly it is. And I promise to get back to some more, and let's see if I can get back to my file, and then
the blade start.
My name is Blaine Stoddard. I'm from Philadelphia. Glenmere High School in the house. I never graduated. Before I start, I need to clear up a couple misconceptions. Team Jamaica is led by Jamaicans, but Team Jamaica has served all of the Caribbean for 25 years. Let me hear a round of applause for that. We have served St. Vincent, Grenada, Belize, Trinidad and Tobago, Bahamas, Haitians if they show up at the tent. Whoever shows up at the tent, we have served. So if you're from Haiti, Bahamas, Guyana, Belize, Trinidad and Tobago, we have been serving you. And I know there might be 1 or 2 people from some other islands, and I did not want to leave you out. Let's give a round of applause to all the other islands that we serve. The other misconception.
Yeah, he said it. He said it right. He said it.
Yes,
He said it right. Back in the archives, 2019.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow, you dig deep, boss. You dig deep.
Yeah, certainly. But one of the things too that you touched briefly on it. It has to do with the whole issue, and I was looking back at one of your interviews from some years back where you spoke about the whole issue of the diaspora, and you had a peeve about the diaspora. Diaspora is used, as you say, as an affront,
Yeah.
and it's not the true meaning of what the diaspora means. Some folks just, when you talk about the diaspora, they're just thinking about the barrels, for example. But if you can give our viewers a true description or definition of what you think the diaspora means, especially to the Caribbean.
I start off by saying, what was it? It's one of Shakespeare's plays. If you prick us too, we bleed. Yeah, we bleed. And, the point is that the Caribbean could not hold us all. We could not all stay at home. In order for nations to grow, people need to migrate. It's been it's the biggest industry. It's the biggest involvement of people from day one. Let's think about how Jesus was born according to the scriptures. He was traveling from some place. The point here is that what we have not managed to do is to fulfill the realness with the rhetoric. The talk has been the importance of the diaspora. But we find from home governments that what they're really saying is, when you open, is to have us as an access point, like an ATM. Something is needed, the hand goes out, the elusive partnership, the elusive interrelations of persons not living physically in the Caribbean to folks living outside. What is truly their role? We still do not see persons in the diaspora at the level of policy making. I give you a case in point. Recently, Jamaica is now going through the constitutional reform, and the Prime Minister has put together a 16-member team. All right, 16-member team to determine Jamaica's how it will look as it relates to its political structures going forth. And with all the importance that our Minister of Finance would have told us about 2 weeks prior to this, putting together a team, that it was because of remittances from the diaspora that kept the economy buoyant. And this can be said throughout the Caribbean. But here comes a situation now where we're putting together an August group to determine how the nation goes forth. And we are being told how important we are, but we're not at the table. I think Caribbean governments have to realize that to truly maximize and leverage the diaspora, we too must be at the table. Some will even argue that they should be voting. I'm not going to take on that, because other systems have to be in place. But why aren't we at the table in the policy making? Why we seem to be most important, Michael, when it's time to send us some laptops, or there's a hurricane, we need the barrels, or monies to do XYZ. And we will, and we have. Because one thing about us, when it comes down to that, you can't stop us from helping our brothers and sisters at home. All I'm saying now, we must be able to leverage those situations so that some things taking place at home, they will know that people are watching from the outside. So therefore, people who would have intentions of doing something that are unscrupulous or stuff will realize that they're being watched. More transparency. So we still have to find ways to insert at the level of partnership how the diaspora integrates itself into things at home. Because the same leaders will say that Jamaica or Barbados or Trinidad and Tobago is borderless nation. So how come it's borderless? But when serious things will take place, we're not at the table. However, decisions coming out from that room impacts us, because we're the ones now that look, the diaspora has the opportunity to invest. Yeah, but we need to be at the policy level. so that we can share with you our ideas as to how you go about integrating us. Don't sit there and decide for us. And I must give kudos to several Caribbean nations too, who have made significant strides in, moving the dial along. But it'll move too slow, Michael. It'll move too slow. The other things move much faster when they need stuff from us. But involving us is just moving too slow. That's my angst. And I know that probably I won't get invited to the next barbecue, but
no, I could have leave you going on for quite a while, but as Patrice is saying, accountability.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
accountability.
Indeed. Transparency, man. When people say, oh, the money I got, Virgin, give me some updates. We need to be there. We need to be there.
Yeah, it's important, and as you say, it's not just Jamaica. It seems to be, it's a Caribbean thing.
Yes.
So going back to the whole issue of Team Jamaica Bickle and its support for athletes over the years, and when you look at, let's say, an alumni of Team Jamaica Bickle, you can go far back as the Bolt and the Blake and some of our top, so the importance, I think, and you were, sort of showing how important is Team Jamaica Bickle not just as, providing, the meals and the ground transportation, but even the exposure for so many of our Caribbean athletes who have been able to showcase their talents at the Penn Relays, for example, and then move on as professional athletes themselves.
Indeed, as I say to you, names, I'm an old guy, so I don't remember. But one of the nicest compliments, and something that makes me really, break up emotionally sometimes, is to see an individual come and say, Mr. Clare, yeah, man. And I'm talking about, I remember having I went to a party someplace, and a gentleman from St. Vincent. And he was saying, I recognize, Mr. Irwine Clare. And he was going to say, yeah, man, I'm such and such. And it reminded me of everything. Of course, the hypocritical of me saying, oh, yeah, man, I remember. Anyway, the point here is this, is that he said he's a graduate of university doing X, Y, Z. And he never won at Penn, but he was at Penn. He was sharing what the exposure meant for him. These are the things that comes from this whole situation as it relates to, the existence of the organization. And it's add value. And, there's something that's very important too. When we look at it 29 years ago, we started, and we look at Philadelphia, for example, there was not a lot of camaraderie in the community of Philadelphia per se. There were disparate groups and all that. One of the things I can say is that Team Jamaica Bickle was able to bring together quite a few people in this umbrella group there, this organizing group there in Philadelphia Organizing Committee, a cross-section of Caribbean people. And then you find out that organizations sprung out of it and start doing their own stuff in different areas. And then what happened? Manifested into a kind of a recognized political bloc, because now these people are being recognized as Caribbean nationals. Hey, what can they do? They're becoming citizens, Mike, and they can vote. So you find out that coming out of city council, had groups that had tags like African and Caribbean committees and stuff like that. So the organization, one of the collateral benefits here was how it caused a community to be recognized. When we go into city council, when we go into Philadelphia during Penn Relays week, and in prior to that, and going to city council, we have access. There are people there who recognize what we are doing and how it has helped the city, because that Penn Relays week into Philadelphia is economic boost for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the things now we are structurally leveraging in a systematic way. I remember, for example, we take our athletes up to Valley Forge. And you might say, Valley Forge. Valley Forge, many people do not know, is the United States creme de la creme of what sports tourism is all about, Michael. Right there in Valley Forge. It don't have no beachfront. It don't have no international airport, but it prides itself as being the home of America's example of what sports tourism can be like. All right. And we were up there and we stayed there a couple of years. When Valley Forge entered Penn Relays for the first time as a sponsor, they entered as Valley Forge, the home of Team Jamaica Bickle. And that was a significant buy for them. So these are the things how we can leverage, and we now have to structure ourselves as we move forth to even further benefit from these kind of largesse.
Mm-hmm. Well, listening to that, it means that probably you may have to think of rebranding Team Jamaica Bickle, because the motto says our athletes are our ambassadors, but it appears to be just more than that, because it becomes more or less like a Caribbean conclave,
Yes.
And bringing so many organizations together, providing the opportunities for even organizations to come together as well.
Yes, indeed.
And
that's what sports does.
Right.
Yeah. It's not just to sit down and drink some white rum or some Mount Gay and all that kind of stuff. That is not to say I was doing that last week, Mike. But but the point here is that it allows for us now to use what we have as a natural and make it economically viable. But you see, we can do so much and no more. Our home governments and those who are charged with the responsibility of the brand, of whether it be the tourist boards, whether it be the economic apparatus. I remember when Prime Minister Holness came last year to the Penn Relays, which again the second foreign leader to come to the Penn Relays, again demonstrating the importance of sports to Jamaica in this case. And we've had other ministers too from St. Vincent and Bahamas who have come to the Penn Relays. But the point I'm making is that when he had his economic council meeting in Philadelphia, he was to draw on us and say, well, as a result of what the foundation at Team Jamaica Bickle has established, he now was able to have this platform to command an audience to speak on Jamaica and opportunities for investments. So there are spin-offs. Let's not just look at it as some kid run up and come run the track and win a race and that's it. No, it's bigger than that. We must recognize that. The world knows that. Caribbean people must recognize that, but not only recognize that, but add value to it, invest in it. There is, I won't say no, a silver line in all of this.
Yeah, I always remember when Portia Simpson Miller, I think she was the first foreign leader.
And also minister, yes.
Well, and minister, yeah,
to
grace that. And it was a big, big thing, not just for Jamaica and the Caribbean, but for Penn Relays itself.
Oh, yes,
in terms of the media attention and all these things,
the whole city of Philadelphia was.
Yeah, it was significant, but in addition to that, how Team Jamaica has been able to bring so many Caribbean folks in their droves over the years. I mean, yes, the weather has played a part, some years.
But don't stop them.
Yeah, So, whether it's from Boston, whether it's from Virginia, wherever, they know around that time of the year, it's heading towards Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. And for some of them, if all of them get the chance, they'll want to be under the tent.
Yes.
They want to be under the tent because of what is being offered, the services that's been offered.
Yes.
The Grace, as you said, Grace Kennedy products, for example.
And Caribbean Food Delight.
Caribbean Food Delights,
Indeed.
Major sponsors of Penn Relays over the years, and people have been able to to associate with the brand. And it's not just, and again, it's not just a Jamaican brand, but it's a Caribbean brand. We have to understand.
Yes, sir.
So in the next 5 minutes we have there, we want to talk a little bit more about Team Jamaica Bickle and what you're hoping to achieve over the next few years. We talk about the vision and things like that. So, but certainly there are lots you have in mind. Share some of the ideas you have in mind.
Sure. And I want to take a moment to send a big shout out to Tower Isle, another of our patty giants in the United States. That has been one of our major supporters over the years. May not be as out there as others, but behind the scenes supports us, and supports sports, because they also support the bobsleigh teams and stuff of the sort. again here, we look at the landscape and we do not pigeonhole ourselves into just athletics, because we do work with basketball. There are many of our children born here who can avail themselves to represent. That's an area that I think is a big build out. Again, speaking about the borderless nation, and I think Caribbean nations have to look at this too, about their nationals and their children born here in the United States who can now avail themselves to participate in sports back home. We're now looking, for example, Jamaica has a prolific ice hockey team. They're going to be in New York June 8th, 9th, and 10th in Flushing, Queens to play against Puerto Rico. Jamaicans in the diaspora playing for Jamaica ice hockey team. The same thing goes to other Caribbean islands. How we build out our children, the whole bond. Because you see, it's the next phase of remittance revolution here, Mike. It's not, because the money remittance now to the respective nations, that's going to be on a decline soon. The other remit is going to be intellectual remit. How do what we have garnered here, skill sets, impact our nation? And I think one of the avenues is our children having the opportunity of dual nationality, being able, if they can't represent here, but they can represent their respective nations. That's going to be, to me, the next avenue of a Team Jamaica Bickle, of various organizations finding ways to get their nations to have a wider swath of choices to build out on their teams of representation. That is powerful. That is a significant way of maintaining the bond. And that's why I say our governments have to realize quickly how we get our people at the policy level, because these are the ideas that we'll bring to the table. They don't have those ideas at home because that's not off their mind thought. But the point is that this is what we bring to the table in partnership, because we don't have the solutions for everything. But I think with partnership, these things can occur. And to reemphasize again, it's been my life through my bread and butter in Caribbean Immigrant Services and the advocacy in the community. It's around Caribbean. Jamaica is part of the Caribbean community. So the fact that I'm from Jamaica does not preclude me from utilizing from my perch the opportunities I have to transcend that as to how we work collectively. And that is how we build out on these opportunities. We want to share this, because the more it spreads is the better and a more sustainable community we can build. And at the same time, doing something that CARICOM has not been able to do within the region. Maybe we can impact it from this side of the aisle, Michael. And I truly believe in that. Sports is one of those unifying factors. It's not just about having a good time, but making sure it is part of the process of providing economic and social sustainability.
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks very much. And thanks, Patrice, also. So the information regarding Team Jamaica Bickle.org/donate if you want. And you can get all the information on the website as well. But there's also a link if you want to donate, or you can text TBJ to 44-321 to donate to Team Jamaica Bickle. And remember, when you're donating to Team Jamaica Bickle, you actually making a donation to the Caribbean.
And it should be TJB to 44321.
Yeah, TB.
Yes,
and
that again, just to show you how our members are, the support, and Patrice Garden Poise is one such, and I tell you, we're so grateful for them, Michael. We have a great group of folks working with. Because our athletes truly are ambassadors, and it's truly a labor of love.
Yep, I appreciate that. And don't forget, again, we have the
Bickle breakfast, man.
The Bickle breakfast coming up.
And food good enough. Lord of his mercy,
yes, so we do have the Bickle breakfast coming up next Saturday.
Yes.
It starts at 9 o'clock and
Yes.
you have the opportunity to support. And again, you're supporting Team Jamaica Bickle, you're supporting our Caribbean athletes, our officials, the coaches, whoever, and the wide range of services being offered when they do come to the Penn Relays. It's not just the meals, there's the transportation, and so
Yes.
much logistical support.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, some of them that just, sprung up at the
Oh,
spur of the
indeed,
moment,
indeed,
you know,
indeed. We're
and
there to serve. We're there to serve, and that's the important thing. And it's always the athletes' welfare,
Mhm.
you know, and they are our number one person. Once you come under that tent or within the palestra, it's about the athletes.
Oh, by the way, as you say, this year, was it a new arrangement
Yes,
for
yes, yeah, yes, yeah. Some people say where we're on the east side, Michael. Let me tell you, God is looking out for us because I don't know if we could survive on the tent this year with all that rain. I know it was cold. We have now, and we are now in the Palestra, which is the University of Pennsylvania's, and it's the oldest basketball arena in the United States. It's called a Palestra. It's one of those city landmarks right outside the stadium. So it's a palatial environment for athletes. It's warm inside, so that's where the tent is, and we have Jamaicanized it and Caribbeanized it. So when people come inside there, you're in the Caribbean because the music is also part of our existence as well, along with food and of course the love. And you mentioned the services that we provide there. So yes, we're in the Palestra, and we have been notified, Michael, that we'll be back in the Palestra again next year. So we're looking forward to that as we celebrate Team Jamaica 30th. Some big things are going to go on. So I hope you provide us a platform again to share some of the things we'll have for TJB 30, which will be announced in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much, and as a disciple of Team Jamaica Bickle, because since I was introduced to Team
Listen,
Jamaica
listen,
Bickle,
tell the truth, man. You eat under the tent.
that's what I want to say, so I know the experience, unforgettable experience, no doubt, and I'm telling anyone, once you have that experience, and athletes themselves know that, not just Jamaican athletes, I have seen where athletes from other colleges, even
Yes,
in the
yes,
United
yeah.
States,
Our alumni.
yeah, sneak into the tent.
Sneak in.
Yeah, sneak into the tent to get something. No one is basically refused.
No.
It's just the whole Caribbean vibes, the Jamaican
Yes.
Caribbean vibes, and everyone just want to be a part of that.
Mhm.
There's no other experience like that. So certain I'll appreciate, and I continue to get information about Team Jamaica Bickle, and I will continue to provide any support necessary. Thank you, Hazel. Thank you, Patrice, and
And
all
we thank
those
you.
who
Yes, and
have
we
been
thank
part
you
of
very
our
much, sir.
program. Yeah, as Hazel said, we have all benefited. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you again, Owen, and all the best.
All the best to you, sir. All the best.
Yeah,
One love.
I appreciate it. Okay, then. Yeah. Okay, then. So, Owen Clare live from Orlando in Florida, giving us all the information regarding Team Jamaica Bickle, and you can support. You can go up to the on the website teamjamaicabickle.org, and you can also donate, because when you make that donation, you also supporting not just Jamaica, but it's supporting the Caribbean, and lots of information available. Owen Clare, a very good soul indeed, provided so much support to Caribbean, Jamaica, and Caribbean athletes over the years. He's a synonymous. The name is very synonymous. You can just type in Owen Clare, and as they say, is so many headlines about Owen. As one headline reads, "A little man with a big heart working tirelessly for Jamaica and Jamaicans." And, another one says, "A man of the people, born to serve." That's Owen Clare. Thank you very much, folks. It's has been a pleasure for this weekend in Brooklyn, New York. Hopefully, I say hopefully, I don't know, but it is a pleasure being with you every time. But I hope you can join us come next weekend. My sidekick, Rudian Silvan, should be back. He actually had a track meet today, so he was, he was on the track, I should say. He's coaching, so he had a track meet. So we excuse him for that, but he hoped to be back come next week, God's willing. Thank you to Hazel, Edwin, Patrice, and all the folks who have made the program and made some comments and made it possible. If you any way you can support and continue to support sports, whatever it is, whether it's track and field, football, as they would say, soccer, cricket, netball, basketball, table tennis, just name it. Please do continue to support. Very much so. Thank you very much, and hopefully I see you next weekend. Until then, you have a pleasant weekend and enjoy the rest of it.